Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, people, and welcome to Footy Judge Mo. Arsenal drop points in the title race. They were robbed, not robbed. A lot of people are talking about that. Chelsea now are fearing Manchester City behind them, are fearing the top four. They're going to go back to saying we are only a top 6 team. We were only targeting top 6. You know that. Newcastle are 1 or 2 points behind Chelsea. I don't know if that is the case, but Newcastle are absolutely now 5 games
Level.
winning streak.
We're level.
No, you're not level. You're not level. You're 1 point behind them. You're not level.
Oh, okay.
They drew. They didn't lose. You thought
No
they lost.
problem.
Listen, people. Hit that like button. If you joined us now, we'll talk about the penalty. We'll talk about all of it. Big up everybody that joined us from MHF. Hit that like button, people. Let me know what you guys think in the chat as well. Manchester City, Hamza said they are in a title race for some whatever reason. What is going to happen to the league? What is going to happen? Well, of course, we're missing one person, so I can move this to 5 people already only. But how's everyone doing?
Good.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Good game.
Doing quite well,
and
yeah.
watch.
Doing quite well, yeah.
Thank you for the invite, Mo. Real pleasure to be here. Greetings to the panel and warm welcome to the chat as well. Great to be back here after a long period of time. So, yeah, looking forward to the show.
Yeah. How are you, Dio? How's everything?
Good. I'm good, man. I'm good. Been a long day. But
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, when you have too many rugrats in the house, it's a long day. Yeah. You hear all that noise in the background? Yeah.
I'm in a museum and there's a lot of kids, so I know what you're talking about.
So yeah, it's been good to be back again this week. Yeah. Now, by the way, Newcastle, thank you very much. I must say thank you to you guys for what you did today. Appreciate it. So
we don't do anything for anybody. We do it for
I know you do it for
But
yourself.
I'm happy that the ripple effects have helped you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm glad the ripple effects, yes, came our way. I know you did it for yourself, but thank you for doing it. I must appreciate you guys. City, it looks like City is back. City is in the race now. City is back in the title race.
City are not in the title race.
No.
City are not in the title race.
City are back in the title race. They are winning.
City are not in the title race.
We are not.
City are 11 points. City are 11 points behind Liverpool. Liverpool have 2 games in hand, including a home game against Man United.
Of course, I'm just pulling the legs. I'm messing around.
Yes.
Of course.
He's
But yeah, man. Yeah, but yeah, thanks. It's good to be back. We'll talk about it today. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Chelsea has fallen off the title race. That's what we're saying. We can't say that. They're still in the race. Chelsea are in the title race, right?
They've
That's
been
what
in
you
the race for
believe.
like 4 seconds.
No, 2 weeks ago.
Two
Weeks ago, that's what we were saying, though.
That's what you were saying, not me.
No, not me.
Big up.
Chelsea fans were saying it 2 weeks ago.
They must have been enjoying themselves a bit too much over the Christmas period, honestly. But hey, that's all part of them.
Kelk, did you watch the game? City game?
Yes, I did. I was watching it on a phone though, so it was kind of small. But
What did you think about the game?
well, I love this chemistry that Savio and Holland are developing. That's working out really nicely. Savio being out on the left wing. You could see that when Doku's out there, that Doku and Holland have absolutely no chemistry whatsoever, and that Holland actively gets frustrated by Doku because he's so unpredictable. But it seems a lot more stable with Savio out there, and we've seen it now in 2 straight games where Savio has assisted Holland, and Savio's. Well, I don't know if they actually gave him a goal for the first one, but yeah, it's starting to cook. So I love seeing that. There's still a lot of glaring issues. That midfield is completely dead, and it was actively horrible today. I thought Kovacic had an awful game, and didn't get much better when Gundogan came on. And once again, Kyle Walker responsible for a goal. It's like clockwork. But yeah, I'm just happy to see 4 goals. That's exciting, and to see a win. At this point, I'm just like, give me 3 points. I don't really care what the performance is. But yeah, the Savio Holland thing is something to be excited about, and I look forward to seeing that develop as the season progresses.
Do you think you're in hunt for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or you're only targeting Champions League?
I would say, yeah, top 5. I have a feeling there's going to be a top 5 this year, at least in England. So yeah, I would say, yeah, that's the goal right now. If we get more signings in this month, maybe we can dream a little higher, but I don't think we're in a title race.
Anybody think that Man City can catch Liverpool?
No.
Not at this
I don't think
stage.
so.
I mean, like,
No.
We would have to be perfect the rest of the way, and I know that's not going to happen.
it's
Like,
not.
we would have to
It's
literally-
not.
we
It's
would
not
have to win out,
impossible,
and then-
but it's not. It's not impossible. Nothing is impossible because we've seen like in the history of the Premier League where there's been 11-point gaps and teams have caught up before. It's happened about at least 10 times, seven times that I can count in the Premier League history that it's happened, where teams have had 10-point leads by January, where they've had 11-point leads by January, and another team caught up and still won the league that year. So it's not impossible. It's just going to be very hard if you don't get players this January. That's the thing.
I would only add to that, and you are correct in that. We were one of the people that were 12 points ahead of Man United 20 odd years ago, and they caught up, and look what happened. I only caveat this, that if Man City get back and compete and win this Premier League, I don't want any more content creators saying that this is a farmers league. Like I don't know how much more Man City need to do to show you that it's not their fault. Like it's all of our club's fault for not showing consistency all across our structure, our players, and our mentality, and all everything that we're doing. True. So if Man City finish, even if for me, I'll go as far as say Man City finish second after going through what they've been through in the last period, the cliff that they've fallen off, to come back and still finish second, I think that's an indictment, well, mainly on all your clubs, because you guys all spend the money. So for your sakes, I hope that you guys, I don't think it's likely. I do agree with, is it Helk? I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name at the beginning. Is it Helk?
Kelk.
Well, my apologies, Kelk. I think Man City, with Kelk, I think Man City are likely to finish probably fifth, but if heaven help us if they finish second. So
hold on.
That's what
you think Man City are more likely to finish fifth behind who?
Oh, well, as things stand at the moment, really. No, I don't know who behind. I don't know who behind, but I think
they are 2 points behind. They are 2 points behind Chelsea. Chelsea have a horrific run at the end of the season. 1 point behind Newcastle and 3 points behind Forest, but Forest have a game in hand, which is I think they play Ipswich tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then,
Monday, yeah.
I don't know what their goal differential is, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't care about the goal difference, because City can catch that goal difference in one game, just like that.
Okay. Well, if I was a Man City
midfield, have you seen our back line?
Well, if I was Kelk or if I was a Man City fan, I would bookmark this day. And then when the season finishes and everybody's saying it's a farmers league, Man City are this, Man City are that, I'd remind them just from like how many bad results. He didn't win, like lost 8 games out of 10 or something like that, and teams still couldn't finish ahead of them. So it's not Man City's fault. It's pretty much within your big six, so-called big six clubs' fault, rather than Man City's. So if I was a Man City fan, I would bookmark this day to remind you all how bad your clubs are.
Really? You think
other
that?
clubs could make signings too?
No, they could. They could, but
what he's saying makes a lot of sense. If eventually at the end of the season, City makes it turns out City catches up, they buy players, and then they come second this season, we can't then say it's a farmers league.
On the rest of the league.
That's like, hey, like the rest of you, what were you doing? You needed to capitalize. And this is where, like, for me, it annoys me about how we played today. I wouldn't say we played badly. I would just say we didn't take our chances when we had the chances. You know,
I didn't see your game.
Yeah,
and
and
my Arsenal friend has been whining about.
Yeah, and the penalty was a penalty. A foul in the box is a foul in the box. Because if that happened to me on their box, I want my penalty. I'm not going to sit here as an Arsenal fan and say it's the referee's fault. The referee did nothing wrong today. That referee had a near perfect game to me, as far as I was concerned. On every.
You're talking about what game?
The Arsenal game. I said, like, I'm just saying in reference to, like, I think, yes, personally, like, and I'll tell you this, there were individual errors that cost us that game. Mikel Arteta put out a team that could win that game comfortably by 1-0. Very defensive midfield. Ethan Nwaneri had his chance, took his chance. We went up. That midfield of Jorginho, Partey, and Rice, sitting in front of the Calafiori, Saliba, Gabriel, and Thomas Partey, who's also a defensive midfielder. Dude, that is literally 8-man defense. After one goal, individual errors cost us that game. Saliba could have stood his ground. He didn't need to go in for that header. João Pedro flicked the ball up, got to the ball before him, and he headbutted the guy. That's a penalty. If it was on the other side, I want my penalty. So today, it's not on Arteta. It's on the individual errors of the player. I can call out another individual error that another player made, which is Jorginho, studying the player off the ball when the penalty was being taken. And I was like, these are the things that are going to cost us this game. Like, you need to have 90 minutes of just full focus, go in there, play this game, get your 1-0, and get out of there.
Daya, may I ask you, would you be concerned? Because I would be concerned that I'm looking at the expected goals. I watched the game as well. That Brighton, it looks like Brighton had twice the expected goals as you. So they had 1.56, you had 0.84. Would that concern you?
I mean, with the way we set up today, the player we put on the pitch, that would not really concern, because we set up more defensively today. I mean, well, without Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, like, Martinelli was on the bench. We started with Trossard on the right and Ethan Nwaneri, Trossard on the left, Ethan Nwaneri on the right, Gabriel Jesus down the middle. That attacking force, my expected goal is expected to be lower than what it normally would be. Now,
So
if I had a Saka there and I had a Kai Havertz and I had a Martinelli on the left, like in their pump, of course, I would expect more from us. So
I'll clarify the question, because you said Arteta set up to win 1-0. Would it have, in today's Premier League, not many teams set up to win 1-0 because the Premier League is just too hard, too tough for that. You can be 2-0 up and still lose games. Does it concern you that
Or 3-0
Arteta
up, as I
or
see.
3-0 up exactly?
Yeah.
Does it
Or
concern you
draw.
that Arteta, I don't know if it's arrogance or naivety, to believe that he can go away to Brighton, who could argue they're a top 8, top 9 side in the Premier League?
What are they, 10th now? I don't remember.
They're 10th now, yeah.
Okay.
But solidly a top 10 side. That
Yeah.
he thinks he can go to an away side as Brighton and believe he can go there and get 1-0 victories.
Oh, I kept hearing
I don't-
fans
but I
that they're
mean,
training
So let me
ground
say,
or
I don't think
something.
it's
But what I would
arrogance.
say,
No,
I don't
sorry.
think-
Let me answer. You want to ask me? Let me just answer
Yeah.
real quick. I don't think it's
Alright, go ahead.
arrogance. I think you look at the squad that you have right now. Kai Havertz is out sick. Bukayo Saka is out injured till the end of April. Martin
He was on the
Odegaard-
bench.
The rest,
I know,
at
but I'm
all
saying-
this season.
Bukayo Saka is he's out till April. Like, that's just say
Do
he's
you
out. for
actually
season.
think
So,
they'll bring
yeah.
him back this year?
Yeah,
I don't think. I'm just saying, like, let's just.
They need to be
I mean,
delicate with that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Because
whatever the case is, Saka is out for us. We don't have him. We don't have him. Like, so what I'm saying is the manager is working with what he has, and you have to be pragmatic when you go and do that. You don't have the person who's created the most chances for you and your big most chances created, assist, and has scored 15 GA in 18 games. What Saka was for us. So losing that person as a manager, it's not arrogance anymore. It's actually finding a way to restructure your team to play a certain way. Be harder
Who was
to
on the
break.
bench?
Yeah, but who was on the bench?
Yeah, for Arsenal. Who's on the bench?
Actually, I wanna hear Ahmed's take on it.
So I
was just gonna say
who was on
that,
the bench?
you
So I
know.
didn't hear what you
actually,
said.
can I just say one more thing and then I'm gonna go?
Yeah, I said Odegaard is on
I'm
the bench.
interrupting. I'm just interrupting not interrupting, but it's my friend's birthday, but they let me run off because they know how much I like football and they don't want to hear me talk about it. So I'll just say one final thought about City, and then you guys can have your big Arsenal discussion. But I want to say Vardiel had a really good game. That guy is running on absolute fumes right now, and he's been making a lot of boneheaded mistakes. You can tell are from fatigue. So I thought he had a really good bounce back day, especially against Kudus. I thought Kudus got him a few times at the beginning of the game, and I was a little nervous, but he really settled down.
He's one of my favorite defenders in the
Had a good
league.
players. I love
No,
him.
not
He's
for
so
me.
good.
One of my favorite defenders in the league. One of my
I'm a big
favorite.
fan of his.
Kelk, answer this. What are you all talking about? Do you guys think City played well today? Because West Ham is shit and they ran through City's midfield and defend. West Ham are shit. Do you think West
I
Ham
would-
played well today?
At times. I mean, you can tell they're bad, but they definitely. I think he's totally right. They ran through our midfield. Like you could check my Twitter page. I was making tweets about it. I just said this is way too easy. Like I said, Kovacic had a stinker. He was awful. Suchek was doing really well against him. So we definitely lost the midfield battle. But we created enough chances, and we got luck on that first goal. And luck is one thing that we've been missing. And sometimes you just need a lucky goal to get yourself going. And we had that today. So thankfully, we've been needing it. When you win 1 out of 13 games, I'll take anything.
I thought
So-
Savinho played well, very, very well today, to be honest. He was
he's really
so
looking a lot
good
better.
today.
I think getting that
Yeah.
goal really helped him get some confidence. But the signs have always been there. I know a lot of people on Twitter have been kind of giving him a lot of crap because he's kind of been bad.
But he's accurate with
final third.
crosses now. He's accurate with his crosses now. He's better in delivering. He's better in passing, which
Well,
makes a
coming from the
difference in a
left
player.
side.
Yeah,
I think that's helping a lot because I think he played for left wing primarily for Girona last season. So it's nice to see Pep give him that opportunity to try it out. That's him making some adjustments. I've been very vocal about wanting to see something different, and that's a good example of him doing something different, and it's paying off. And you can tell Holland's really comfortable with it too. So anything to get Holland going because he's had a rough stretch. So it was nice to see him score 2 goals, and you could just see how happy he was. And he actually got subbed off of a game for once. Like I was crying out for him to get a little bit of rest because he's been playing full 90s the whole season, and he is an injury-prone player. And we've been very lucky he hasn't been because he's the only person scoring on our team. And hey, Foden got a goal! Yay, he does exist. But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm happy that we got a win. I'm not very impressed with the performance. Like I said, midfield and backline terrible. Akanji looks. Akanji's not fit. He had a really bad game, and Kyle Walker was terrible when he came on again. But hey, we'll take 3 points. I don't care about performance right now. I just want 3 points, and I got it. So I'm very happy about that. So, anyways,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take off. I hope you guys have a good stream, and everybody in the chat.
Thank
say
you,
happy
Kid, for
birthday to
joining.
my friend Amadip.
Take care.
Happy
Bye, guys.
birthday to her. See you. I wanted, before we go on to the Arsenal, and I think Newcastle was a big talking point today. The way they handled Spurs and the way they are hunting this third or fourth place.
Mo, please swap me with Chelsea. You can't put them above me. I'm not doing
Whatever, man. Do whatever you want. Spurs.
Ahmed, I knew Ahmed was good. I knew Ahmed was good. Why are you putting me beside Chelsea? The point is, I don't want to be beside Chelsea.
Brother, we both drew. It's not nothing's gonna change that much, bro. Like a 4-point difference between us.
I'll just mess with
I know.
Philip, do you think you can catch Chelsea and finish above them this season if your squad stays fit? Or do you need signings in the January transfer window?
That's a great question. I think my expectations the short answer is yes. If Chelsea, in my expectations for Newcastle, for instance, is for us to get between 64 to 68 points this season. So if Chelsea beat that, then obviously Chelsea finish above us, above my expectations from my own team. But Chelsea are, again, incredible squad, big squad, huge investment, massive club. The expectation and pressure is on them to finish above the likes of, smaller clubs like Newcastle United. But we've already finished above them in the last 3 years. And so it wouldn't be that much of a shock if it were to happen. We've already knocked them out of the League Cup. We've already beaten them a number of times since the takeover. So in terms of Chelsea, and I don't even want to kind of narrow it down on Chelsea, like it's different clubs. I'm not really focused on them as a fan. I'm more focused on Newcastle United. As I said, as a fan for Newcastle, my expectations for Newcastle to have between 64 to 68 points. If Chelsea do their own thing and they get 70 plus points and whatnot, congratulations to them. They've paid a lot of money to get there. So, but my main thing is on Newcastle, not where Chelsea finish.
About the cup game in the midweek, how confident are you playing Arsenal away at the Emirates?
Well, we've 5-6 games unbeaten. We've just beaten Tottenham away. We've beaten Man United away. We've beaten a number of teams away now, as well as at home. We're in a good moment. We're in a good shape. And if I think Eddie Howe's doing what he could be doing, which is starting off fast, but then slowing the game down in the second half, that's a different level that the team is going to, which I didn't know that we could do if we're really doing that. So, but I want to see a couple more games, and I have to kind of see this game again, kind of dispassionately, to be able to see that. If we are doing that, then I'm pretty confident. I noticed of Arsenal today, for instance, they're going through what we went through about 2 months ago in terms of in front of goal, their final third entries, and just kind of a little bit of doubt creeping in there. It's a little bit of the players and it's a little bit of the manager. We had that. It was confidence that could literally turn around within the next game. Me personally, I wouldn't over worry about it, but obviously as a fan, you would. So if they have those same doubts and concerns that I saw against Brighton, in my opinion, against us, they will lose at the Emirates. So we'll see how it goes. But they're an incredible team again. Tactically, how to use the space, their box midfield, their possession. They're title contenders for a reason. So, but definitely looking forward to it.
And does anybody here think that Newcastle can hold on onto the Bruno Guimaraes and Isak in this summer?
I mean, if they
depends, innit? Newcastle, I'm pretty sure Newcastle have got their own standard of how much they want to get for both players. It's just about whether teams are willing to meet that. That's what it's going to come down to, really.
Okay, hold on. Why do you always talk about it? It's all about Newcastle. Can I ask you something, Ahmed? Do you think if people offer Chelsea money for Palmer, would you say that it's about how much people offer? Because
Sometimes
I
it
wanna
is.
understand this.
Sometimes no, because I would actually argue sometimes it is. Like if you get given an offer which is you can't refuse. There's sometimes and there's something called an offer you can't refuse, bro. And like when you receive a certain value that maybe you place on a player, you know, sometimes, bro, you have to you have to pay it. Like that's just the reality. I think if I'm not mistaken, Isak recently
But to
was
who? Like, do you think if Arsenal offer Newcastle the money they want, and if they make Champions League football and Arsenal don't win the league this season,
yeah.
why would Isak go to Arsenal? Can you just give me a reason why would Isak
I'm
go
not
to
okay.
Arsenal?
That I wasn't talking about that. I'm just talking about just fundamentally the argument of like if they meet Newcastle,
Or
Arsenal,
even Chelsea, by the way, just
no, I
Arsenal,
get,
Chelsea.
no, I get what you mean, but I just think again, it just depends on what the other team's willing to give to the player in terms. Obviously, then it's a question about wages. Then it's a question about can you obviously give the project to them, make them believe in it, etc., etc. That's just the two things it comes down to. Now, whether or not Isak wants to go there or not, that's for him to decide entirely. But I'm just saying, if I'm as a fan, there are certain times where the price is just you can't refuse it. I'll give you
I mean,
an easy example.
outside
I'll give you like
Okay,
just before you go, I'm gonna give an example. Yeah, even though I know this guy was there for us for quite a little for a little bit of time. When Hazard, when Real Madrid came for Hazard, and I think they offered him something like 128 million, it was or in that range. Like at some point, even you as a club cannot refuse that certain fees at times. Like it becomes like ridiculous. It's like yes, this guy's like so such a level beyond, but the amount of money I'm about to get back on this guy and what I can do to even help improve the squad just without him is sometimes too much. Sometimes it just becomes like too much. But maybe that's
I
just
think
me.
more honestly, like that question, when you say like why would Isak
Mhm.
leave? When the club is setting a price for a player already, right? That means that there's some factors going on, which means it's either the player hasn't renewed his contract, they're looking at the contract running down, they don't want to lose him on a free, so they set a price for the player. If somebody else comes, right, that has any of the boxes that the player checks off that he likes with the right price, the club will sell. If you say Isak is 150 million and Chelsea come for Isak right now, say, okay, here's a 150 million. And then they tell Isak, by playing, let's say Chelsea qualify for Champions League next season. We're playing Champions League that you want to play. There are some amazing players here. You will get the salary that you want. You will get to move to London. You get to do whatever. Like, they meet his terms. The player will move. The player will
Yeah,
move.
but the question is, if Newcastle make Champions League, which is, I think Newcastle have a bigger chance than Nottingham Forest, for example, to make Champions League. Let's say top 5.
They have a very
I
high
think-
chance. I'll be real. They've got
Yeah,
like
yeah. Let me just say, let's say it's top 5. I'll say Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, Man City. This is my pick, right?
Okay.
Why would he move? I know that Chelsea are looking to challenge for the title, but if Newcastle get the right players in, you look like the team very well drilled.
Yeah, but I agree. I hear you on that. What I'm saying is, but because Newcastle has set the price, if somebody comes with that price and also meets what the player wants, which is he wants to play
Do you
Champions
think
League.
Saliba has a price?
Saliba has a price.
Do you think
What did I say about Bukayo Saka and Saliba? I said this on your stream before. Where I said, look, the one thing that I don't do is I'm not, as much as I love my players, I'm not sentimental onto holding them down forever, because I realize it's about my club. It's about the club. I love Arsenal and not just the players. Players come and go. Players come and their careers die. Some come, they thrive. So for me, if tomorrow, somebody comes and offers me 200 million for Bukayo Saka, or offers me 180 million for Saliba, I'm just making like large prices. I know that's not the real price, but some exorbitant amount of money, and I can go and buy 2-3 next best young defenders and start I'll do it, because what's the point of keeping him if he also wants to leave? If the player wants to leave as well, he's going to meet the same terms there, and he's going to get higher wages, or even if I'm going to match his wages, he still might want to go to Spain. He wants to change scenario. You never know. So for me, it's all dependent on the player. At the end of the day, if Isak thinks that he wants to go win Champions League with a club that he thinks has a bigger name than Newcastle, that might be his drive. Not realizing that if he stays at Newcastle, he can play Champions League and probably even win the Champions League for Newcastle, right? But some players are like, I want to go do it Man U. I want to go do it with Chelsea. I want to go do it at Real Madrid. I want to go, so that might be a dream for the player. So these are reasons why he might move. Not because Newcastle is not good enough, not because Newcastle can't afford to give him what he wants, but because the player has a personal preference, and his needs are being met on the other side as well. So yeah, and the club is
Jay here is saying,
Yeah,
Liverpool turned down 200 million for Salah. Look at us now. Maybe Isak will think the same. What do you think, Philip?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think everybody's got a right answer in it. There's 3 factors in it. There's the player, the club, being Newcastle, and whoever the other clubs are who are the suitors.
Exactly.
So, you know, there's all those factors matter. If they give you an offer, it depends what, first of all, the club. If the club has already set ambitions, not just to Isak, but to our other ceiling raisers like Gordon, Bruno Gomes, Isak himself, and I believe Botman is one of our new ceiling raisers. He's just been injured for the last year or so. If they set out the vision, which I think they've set out, which is we will be, you know, winning titles, we'll be going out to Champions Leagues and stuff like that. If you stick with us, then selling an Isak for any price would be okay. You get the money, but you have at least a period of instability within the camp where players know that, hey, you know, there maybe those ambitions aren't as big. There's the player himself. So yeah, I don't know what's in Isak's mind. Maybe he believes that he will be here at Newcastle. He can win things. People forget, for instance, with Bruno Gomes, when he joined Newcastle, we were second from bottom in the league, and there was no release clause in his contract to say if we were to go to the Championship, he could leave. No, he would be playing the Championship with us. So that level of commitment makes already clear that the player is ready to stay there now for reasons that are important to him. Some players believe that and know that if they go to a bigger club, an Arsenal, a Real Madrid or whatever, they'll just be another big player amongst bigger players. So maybe that's the place to stay. And obviously then there's the other clubs that who does come in. Maybe Newcastle might prefer. Maybe say for instance Arsenal offer 150 million. But Newcastle don't want to sell to a club in the Premier League. Barcelona come with 100 million and we'll sell to them. So it's not necessarily how big the price is. It might mean on the club itself. So there's a lot of push and pull factors. But at the moment, the likes of Bruno Gomes and others have already been at the club 3.5 years. Bruno signed a new contract. Gordon signed a new contract. Isak's got 3.5 years left in his contract. That's why we haven't even approached him with a new contract. That's why the whole situation has come about. So I'm not saying all things are rosy. I'm just saying this is the status, the current status at Newcastle United at the moment. So yeah, I'm sure people are going to be debating it for a long time. I think personally, I'll end it on this. People, mainly from the mainstream media, they don't believe Newcastle deserve to have big players. They don't believe that Newcastle deserve to have Isak's, Tonali's, Bruno Gomes', Harvey Barnes.
Why?
I can't lie to you. I agree with that.
That's what they believe.
Yeah.
They believe.
Yeah, if you hear the way they talk about
Why?
Newcastle,
Bro, the way
you
they talk us about. Listen, if you're being honest here, the way Newcastle sometimes gets talked about, bro. They get talked about like they're like a little bro when they technically.
But they are a little bro, with all due respect. Newcastle are a little bro.
No, but
In
Mo,
what sense? Hold on. In what sense, Mo? Go on.
I'm going to tell you, you
Okay.
were in the club that was challenging for a while. You got the new ownership. You went up. I thought that Newcastle would be able to invest. For some whatever reason, the rules in the Premier League did not, which is, I think it's unfair that Newcastle are not
So
allowed
what's that got to do with
to
the little
invest.
bro? So
I'm going to
that's
tell
all
you what
things
I
that-
mean by little bro. Like,
All
for
right.
example, your revenue stream is not as big as the Man City, as the Chelsea, as Arsenal. Your fan base is not up there yet. I thought that
Right.
Newcastle would be on the rise. I thought that Newcastle would be able to do a Man City journey. This
You
is
mean
why
like get to the Champions League, get to League Cup
Get to the-
finals,
you
that kind
already
of stuff, right?
but consistently,
That-
like you don't
what,
fall
like,
off. Let me tell you.
It's
So
been
Newcastle,
3.5 years, Mo.
yeah, exactly. When Man City
So
got the
what else
ownership
do you
in
want?
2008, I wanted Newcastle to be consistent. What happened last season should not have happened.
Why?
Because you should have been on the rise. And
Why?
the Premier League affected. What do you mean?
So it's our first time in the Champions League in 20 years. We had the top 3 worst injuries in England: us, Chelsea, and Man United.
Okay.
If your view is that progress is linear, which I think is a naive, childish view, and it's not that it's up and down, but as long as the trajectory is upwards, that's how most clubs rise. That's how Chelsea rose. That's how Man City rose. That's how
That's
all
not
big clubs
true,
are-
though. That's not true, though.
Okay,
When Chelsea were
name me a
both.
club.
Well,
Name me a
Chelsea.
club.
Chelsea.
So Chelsea, the year Abramovich, well, you can educate me on this. The year Abramovich took over, Chelsea won the league.
No, they came third.
Right.
And then the year after. And then the year after.
But I know, but
Hold
that's
on,
what he's saying.
guys. Let me hold on. The year after, they had Mourinho, both players. Of course, PSR allowed them at that time.
Okay.
Won-
Yes. Exactly.
So see that?
Exactly.
So see that? That is my point.
Exactly.
it is not Newcastle's fault.
Yeah, that little caveat. PSR.
But I think that you misheard what I said. I said it was not Newcastle's fault. It's the rules that
You're
prevented
saying-
you
yeah,
building.
But no, you've made a very bad point about Newcastle. Why, in terms of not bad. I'm not saying it's not true, but the way you're explaining it is bad in terms of little bros. You're big because you're not big because of PSR. We're not big because we haven't got the same brand and the biggest names as a Chelsea and Arsenal.
Yes.
And then, so this is why we're having this conversation about Isak in the first place. When these players, when Gordon, for instance, when Gordon wasn't performing last year, 2 years ago, nobody cared about Gordon. And Gordon himself said it. As soon as I start performing well, they start talking about Liverpool. I'm at a top club. The player himself feels he's at the top club. When these players, when we bought Isak for 70 million and he only scored 6 goals at Real Sociedad the year previous, people were laughing at us and saying, why are we buying this guy for 6 million? He's nobody. The moment Isak starts playing well because he's in a good team under a great manager, then all of a sudden Newcastle are undeserving on this. And then people like you then more revert to, oh, but they haven't got the revenue, they haven't got the status. All true, but it's childish at the same time. You got to learn that there's other things that are bigger than that for a player, like actually playing in a good team, scoring goals, being valued, growing. I'm not naive to believe that if a Chelsea or Arsenal come along, that a player's head can't be turned. But I also think there are other factors that are important to a player, which is playing well and being good at what you're doing, which what Gordon, Bruno Guimaraes, Isak, Botman, all the likes have all kept and said and repeated. So look, we'll see what happens. We have good players in our team. We're a top team. This whole thing about progression, I thought you would do this, I thought you would do that. We've already been in a cup final. We're in our second semi-final in the last 3.5 years. We've already been to the Champions League before anybody even believed that we would be there with the second best defense in the league, only lost 5 games. And people, there's this demand, unrealistic demand that what Newcastle should be winning the Premier League. How many of you guys thought we're going to win the Premier League this season?
I didn't even think I was going to win the Premier League. So,
right.
You know what I mean?
So I'm pretty realistic about where we are and what we're doing.
Okay, so the reality is Newcastle needed an upward trajectory with the money that you spent. However, you were prevented from spending more money. And I insist on saying that by PSR, whatever rules that are there. The thing about Isak, if you don't make Champions League this season and the rules are not lenient enough for you to support these top players, that I'm calling them top players because they are performing at a very top level. Well, Newcastle at that time, the players will look at themselves like, we want to play for Barcelona, for example. We want to play for Real Madrid. It doesn't have to be Arsenal, by the way.
Are we in the Champions League this season?
All this assumption is that if you're not in the Champions League.
No, but it doesn't have to be assumption. Are Newcastle?
You're talking about this season. No, you're not.
Exactly. Is Isak still here?
Yeah.
Is Bruno still here?
Yes.
Is Gordon still here?
Yeah.
Right.
So your point is, because they are here, you don't think their head can be turned.
No,
I don't get it.
That's not what I said.
I'm not following.
That's not what I said. You're not
because
listening.
That is the other way. I'm listening to you, Philip.
No, because if you listen to what I said, I did say if Chelsea or Arsenal come along, I'm not naive to not believe that a player's head can be.
That's my point, Philip. That's my
your
point.
point was if you don't get Champions League. My point is we don't have Champions League now, and these players are signed that they've signed contracts, Mo.
Yeah, they renewed.
What is your point? Hold on.
They've renewed their contracts already, Mo. It's actually happened. It's like
in one hand, you're saying, I am aware that if we don't make Champions League and Arsenal or Chelsea or these guys come along, these players' heads can be turned.
Yes.
But on the other hand, you're saying that, but we don't have Champions League and the players are here. These two things contradict each other.
No, they only contradict
you,
Mo. They only contradict Mo if you bring up the hypothetical. You brought up Mo. It's on you to prove this. You said if Newcastle don't have Champions League, Isak could leave. I'm saying in reality, as we live now, as I can see you, Mo, and you can see me, Newcastle do not have Champions League. They're not even in Europe. They're not there. Isak is here. Bruno signed another contract. Gordon signed another contract. They are still here, Mo.
Why do you think they are here? Because they believe the project is going forward, right?
I'm not in their heads, Mo. I'm not next to them. I'm just disproving your theory, which is about Champions League.
Okay, you
Because
proved me
before the-
wrong.
before the season-
You
before
proved
the
me.
season
Hold on,
started.
you proved the one last point. You proved me wrong, right?
You've proved
You
yourself
said
wrong.
no. You did. You said Mo, they are here now. We don't play Champions League.
No, but
right?
you proved yourself wrong. You've given up a theory
Great.
that's already proven wrong.
Fantastic. I haven't proved
It's
anything
so
yet because you
fantastic.
haven't.
It's
Hold
a
on.
bad
Let me
theory.
just let me explain to you now. You
All right.
said they are here now, right? They are here now,
Yes,
even though we are not playing Champions League, right?
indeed.
Great. Do you believe that in last summer clubs were asking about Isak and
Yes.
Bruno Guimaraes
Yes.
and they didn't go?
They're still here, aren't they? Like you said, you didn't go. They're here. He
Okay.
scored a goal today. I don't know if you saw
Okay,
him.
your point is proven. So why did you say that I am aware that their head can be turned if their head didn't turn
Because
last
it
summer?
happens. It happens. Players' heads get turned. Yes.
So why didn't it? Why would it turn next summer and it didn't turn last summer?
It could turn next summer. It didn't turn this summer, but it didn't turn. It didn't turn this summer, but it could turn next summer.
Okay, so that means my point is proven then that it can be
No.
turned.
I'm saying that your point is both wrong and right at the same time.
Okay.
We do not have Champions League, Mo. You do know that, right? We don't have Champions League. We're not in
Yes.
Europe.
Yes.
Isak knew this back in May when we finished the season.
Thank you.
Right? He had the next 3 months. He had Chelsea. He had Arsenal. He had other clubs knocking at his door. He's still here. Bruno is still here. Gordon is
Why
still
would their
here.
head be turned next summer, not last summer?
I don't know, Mo.
But that's what we're saying, Mo. We don't know. Next summer,
We don't know, Mo.
whether
No,
or not-
but that is what Philip said is that he thinks that the player's head can be turned.
And
And that is what I'm asking.
So Mo, hold on. Mo, here's the thing. Mo, your premise is that if they don't have Champions League, these players might leave. Beginning of the season, hold on. Beginning of the season, the players knew that Newcastle did not have Champions League and they did not leave. So why do you think that next season they can't decide? Well, even though you still don't have Champions League,
Now I can explain. That is
So
the
now
question that I wanted you to answer.
So when you say if they don't have Champions League, they've already proved the players this season that they stayed without Champions League. So that might not be.
I can answer now. You asked the question.
So next season,
I can answer now. In my opinion, clubs, players. In my opinion, that is my opinion only. Players maybe thought that was a blip last season. Same as the players that played for Chelsea, for example. Sometimes players, when Chelsea finished 10th, for example, in the year that when Mourinho was
compare
sacked.
Chelsea to Newcastle. We're not as big as them.
I'm just giving an example.
It's a bad example. Name me a club the same size as Newcastle who can keep a player the same caliber as
Let me
Isak,
finish the
Bruno, and
point.
Gordon.
Let me finish.
It's
Let
a
me
bad
finish the
point.
point. Philip. It's not a bad point. I'm just giving an example. It doesn't have
Sorry,
to be the
sir.
same.
The gentleman who's a Chelsea fan, I forgot. I didn't get your name, sir. What's your name?
My name is
Philip.
Ahmed.
Are Newcastle the same size as? Because apparently,
But I never said they are the same size.
We're
But I
little
never
bros.
said the same
We're
size.
little bros at the beginning of this
I
video.
I never said
Right?
the same size. Okay, it never outside. Like I never said it's the same size. All
You
I'm
just
saying.
said it.
That
You said that we're little bros.
I never said the same size.
So give me a club the same size as Newcastle.
No, hold on. I'm giving an example of how a
It's
player
a bad
can
example. We're not
Newcastle.
Chelsea.
No, it's not a bad example, Philip. Let me finish, please. It's players like Isak, Bruno Guimaraes might have thought that what happened last season because they got Champions League, because Chelsea were factually the third best club in the country since Eddie Howe took on this team, right? Until they finished in the Champions League spot. That is factual. They were the third best team in the country and they went to the Champions League. They had a good campaign. They were undone in the game against PSG. They were hard done in that game. The players might think, yes, now Newcastle next season are going to start well. We can come back. We can get Champions League again. My whole point is that if Newcastle are doing well now, I'm just saying that if Newcastle, for example, don't get Champions League, which is a possibility that can happen. Newcastle started the season not well, and now they are on a good run. It can happen again. They go on another blip and they finish 7th or 8th or something. In my opinion, players say this is 2 years now. We have been in a club. We haven't played Champions League now. I might want to go to a different club that play consistently in the Champions League. That is my whole point.
They could still leave with Champions League. Like Arsenal have had players leave when they're in Champions League. Chelsea have had players when they leave with Champions League. It's a moot point. I don't really see
I disagree with you.
relevance of it.
I think it depends. I think
let me ask you a question, Mo.
Yes.
If Newcastle qualify for Champions League and Real
Mhm.
Madrid comes and tells Isak, we want you to come and play for us. Do you think
Great
Isak will leave?
point. It's
Do you think-
exactly what I was
exactly,
about.
But that's the point.
Exact
Champions
point.
League or no
Hear
Champions
me out then. Hear me out then. But hold on. You didn't get my point because I was about to say that. I think if they finish in the Champions League, Newcastle, the owners sit with these players, I think the only clubs that can turn their head are a club. For example, if Pep talks to someone and they say, we're going to win the Champions League, Real Madrid or Barcelona, I don't think the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea can turn their heads if Newcastle get the Champions League. That is my whole point. I don't think.
So you talked to Bruno Gomes, right? Because Pep talked to Bruno Gomes. He's still here. I'm not saying that these players they could look. We could get Champions League. We can win League Cup this season. All these things. We could still lose a player to these clubs. It doesn't. I don't know what the pull and pull factor is for each individual player. I have no idea, but it could still happen. Like for me, I'm the kind of person where I think. Speaking of Arsenal, I think for me personally, even though he won trebles, Thierry Henry's worst mistake was to leave Arsenal. I thought he should have stayed and been the legend there. But he felt that to go to Barcelona and to do all the stuff that he did it. Me personally, and there's some other players like Alan Shearer who said no to Man United, said no to massive clubs to stay at his club and be a legend there. Like, I don't know individually what the pull and push. We can spend all night talking about it. Like, it doesn't really like move me. Like, I just think why, in terms of my main argument was at the beginning, the reason why, and the panel agreed, why the mainstream media are talking about it is because they don't rate Newcastle. When these players are performing well,
And you think they should rate Newcastle?
No, I don't care what they think. I honestly don't care if Newcastle win the title or do whatever. I hope what happened to Tottenham will never happen to Newcastle. That if we start crashing the top four, winning stuff, they don't start saying top six or there's no new top six or top seven. I want Newcastle to have essentially their own castle. I want Newcastle to pave their own way and be their own team and be like the leaders of rebellion. I want nothing to do with the media and their cartel.
Sorry, man. Listen, man, we hate it too, you know. 100%. I get it, man. I get that. I get. But the one point I will say before you go, please, bro. I haven't spoken in a while. What I would say about Newcastle is that I think a general assumption I would just make is that as long as, I think with any player, as long as you're getting to certain positions, whether it be a Carabao Cup, I think you're in the Carabao Cup semi-final, if I'm not mistaken, you get the UCL football and you're playing consistently there. And then there's like obviously some level of consistent investment that is being, which shows obviously ambition. I think generally speaking, you know, players will stay. I think that's just like that's a general observation. So I think with Newcastle, we'll see what happens in the next few years, and that I think will dictate to us, you know, where things are going. I think is the most
and again we have to put context around it because PSR has stifled their hands in spending for the last year. Of course, by next year, I think Newcastle will be able to spend a bit more than they've been doing before because
I think it's the new PSR season, right?
PSR season for that means they may be telling the players, look, you guys see what's going on. PSR is not allowing us to spend, but if you get us to Champions League this season, we will be able to spend in the summer and bring in reinforcements so that your next Champions League, we're going to try to win it. And these 100%. Players are like, you know what? Hey, we can do this. Because here's the reason why mainstream media is always trying to shit on Newcastle. When Newcastle were buying players like Bruno Guimaraes, Isak, and everything, mainstream media said they're buying crap players. 17 million for Isak. This guy drove into London. They said they were not good enough. All of a sudden, Eddie Howe is not good enough. Eddie Howe going to Newcastle. Yeah. Newcastle is trying to build. Oh, this is what mainstream media was saying. All of a sudden, Newcastle is there, causing problems for everybody. Now, these players are too good for Newcastle. Really? You just said they were not good enough a season ago.
So you know why?
The only reason I'm on your show, Mo, is because Newcastle are winning games. That's why I'm here, if we're honest about it. You know, otherwise you wouldn't be inviting me. So let's just be honest and say that's what it is.
The problem with Newcastle situation is that I wanted Newcastle to do well because I wanted the Saudi people to do well in ownership. And I know why people don't like Newcastle in the mainstream media. Bro, they say it publicly, bro. Look at The Guardian. Like, listen, it's a podcast I listen to all the time with the people that know Barry Glendenning and the other guys. They call it publicly. They say these guys should not have been allowed to own a team in the UK. It's simple. It's a straightforward thing. And it's their opinion. I don't respect it. I don't agree with it. But that's why the mainstream media don't like Newcastle. It's very, guys, I think people are scared to say it, but it's just reality.
No, that is
about it.
Mo, that
Bro,
is part of,
they don't even hide it, bro. They literally said it
I know, Mo,
on the podcast.
No, that is part of the main reasons, right? But we're talking about the footballing side of it. The footballing side of it, what the players and performances, for example, they call the players that Newcastle bought crap. Outside the fact that they don't like the ownership, they said these players are not good enough for the Premier League. They're not going to be able to perform. Exactly. Newcastle is going to crash. Eddie Howe is terrible. One season after, Isak is way too good for Newcastle. Why is Bruno Guimaraes? Why Newcastle's midfield is the most versatile, dynamic midfield with Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes. All of a sudden, Tonali's issue with the gambling. We said it. They can only buy terrible players. They bought somebody who has a gambling issue. He's been banned now.
So why do you think so? If you disagree, why do you think that is happening?
They're two-faced. The mainstream media are two-faced. They say whatever they need to say to be able to stay relevant. Like
right now.
Yeah, as long as they're relevant. Look, once Newcastle is doing well, we need to talk about them now because we have to stay relevant. They can't hold on to what they said before. You know, it's the same thing. Like,
but can I ask you something though? When they were saying that before, was that true?
It was
okay. When Isak was bought for £70 million and he scored 6 goals in the league, was the statement that they overpaid for Isak at that time? Was that statement true?
No, it wasn't. Because if you look at the market at the time and the caliber of strikers that were available, Alexander Isak was probably one of the cheaper ones that was able to be like. We're talking about the period of Victor Osimhen.
I'm going to give a little bit of context.
I want to ask Ahmed this. Ahmed, before you talk, Ahmed, when Arsenal paid £65 million, and this is very relevant, for Kai Havertz at that time, did Arsenal overpay?
100%.
Okay, hold on. Mm-hmm. When at the end of the season, he had the same GA and goal involvement as Erling Haaland. Did you still think they overpaid? From their perspective,
from their perspective,
I want an objective.
From their perspective, then you have to say no because at the end of the day, they got
and that is my point.
Okay, so Mo, when Kai Havertz performs at Arsenal, does the mainstream media think that Kai Havertz is too good for Arsenal?
No, they don't.
Okay. The point added to what Daya was saying is, now that he's hot, he's too good for Newcastle.
That's what.
That's it.
The difference.
But you know why they don't believe Newcastle? The problem is Dio and Philip and Ahmed and everyone.
But neither do you, Mo. Because I've been telling you about Bruno Guimaraes since last year. And you've been telling me.
And I didn't think he was good. By the way,
I told you about Anthony Gordon. I said to you, Anthony Gordon is better than Martinelli. You said to me, no way.
At that time, no, I didn't
exactly
think so.
Because it's little old Newcastle
and proven wrong. And I was proven wrong.
Buying these unknown players from nowhere. Now these players are playing well. Do you know what? It's about time he's leaving Newcastle.
But I didn't say that. I didn't say that Newcastle don't deserve this.
Started the conversation. We're calling here for a match reaction. Your first thing you said about Newcastle is, when is Isak going to leave?
No, I didn't. I said, can Newcastle hold on to Isak?
Exactly, which is when is he going to leave?
Hold on.
Hold on. I have the same energy, but hold on. I have the same energy. I have the same energy.
You didn't ask me about Eddie Howe.
Hold on.
Let me finish. Let me finish because you're asking me. You brought me onto the show to talk about Newcastle United. You didn't ask me how did we turn around the form? What's Eddie Howe doing differently? Who's playing well? What's been the change for Newcastle United? How are you feeling about Philip about what Newcastle are doing? Your first question is, Isak, how long can Newcastle hold on to Isak? Because
that was not my first question. My first question, can you overtake Chelsea? You think this form can continue and you can overtake Chelsea?
Right, and then you went on to Isak.
So it was not my first question.
Okay, fine. It's a second question.
It wasn't even the second. We spoke about you and the form and how
we've had a 30-minute conversation about Isak and why he's not good enough. Why Newcastle aren't good enough for him.
I didn't say that. But I still. Why is Ahmed in the middle? I still think that actually, in my opinion, I still think that Isak. And I don't think that. I think if Newcastle are not going to go to challenge for the titles, yes, Isak might be too good for Arsenal. By the way, let me just tell you something. I have the same energy for Saliba. I told Arsenal fans, if you don't win the league, why would Saliba stay at Arsenal? Which means that I think Saliba is too good for Arsenal. You know what I told Chelsea fans? If you aren't challenging, why would you keep Palmer? Why would Palmer stay at Chelsea? It's the same conversation, Philip. You're just too sensitive about it for some reason.
But Mo,
so hold on, just one moment. So
here's
I
the thing.
reject the notion about being sensitive, Mo. I think that's a very cheap shot to try and make me look irrational and emotional when I've actually broken down most of your arguments and they've been pretty poor. In terms of Newcastle United, you cannot match Newcastle to Chelsea and Arsenal. And it's interesting because Ahmed and Dale understand clearly what I'm saying. It's not just you saying, oh, if Palmer performs or if Ødegaard performs, they're too good. It's already on the premise that Newcastle are not good enough. When these players were nobodies, nobody cared about it. Nobody was inviting anybody else to shows. The media didn't care. When Newcastle are hot, we get invited to shows and people get, and then we get told our players are too good for us. And that's what it's about. And that's so yes, I'm saying it's not the same thing, Mo. And I do reject the notion of if you're not winning the argument to then try and make me look like as
No.
I'm
I actually still think that we're still in the argument. I think that Isak, if Newcastle are not challenging for the titles within the next season, if you aren't aiming for the top, I think Isak is too good.
But that's a mute point. We could have.
Why is it a mute point? I don't get it. Why is it a mute point?
Because what players? Because most players who are of talent and caliber and ambition would leave any club if they're not challenging.
And that is my point. That's called too good for a club.
I know, but
Real Madrid,
but then you can't say the same thing about Real Madrid. Like Madrid is the top of the top of.
No, forget even. Okay, let me go back to not Madrid. Okay, hold on. Don't take Madrid. Don't do Madrid.
Let me use Chelsea.
Dio.
I said Chelsea.
Let me respond.
I said Chelsea. No, I brought it back to Chelsea. More wait. Let's use Cole Palmer in Chelsea right now as an example. If Chelsea is not performing, how many other clubs in the Premier League right now can approach Chelsea if Chelsea name their price for Cole Palmer and Cole Palmer will move to that club? How many? Name me one club.
The thing about it is that there is not a lot of clubs that are.
My point exactly. So the player can still end up staying there.
The problem is you guys are not letting me respond. Okay, you guys are not letting me respond. Okay, the problem is you're asking the move from Chelsea is to Real Madrid. The jump from Chelsea is to Real Madrid. It might be a jump to not even Liverpool because they don't do so much business. But the jump from Newcastle to Arsenal or to Chelsea or to Man City or to Liverpool is a jump to a bigger club. You get my point here. And this is what I'm saying. It's a jump to a bigger club. Do you all agree that Newcastle are a smaller club than the Chelseas, the Arsenals, the Liverpools? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we agree.
Which is the same. That is my point. If Isak,
but again,
let me just finish the point now. I asked the question, and let me finish the point now. If a club in Serie A is having too good of a player, and that player is have ambition, and they want to challenge, and they want to win the top trophies, they always say, okay, we're going to stay here, we're going to try to build together. If the club does not match this ambition for whatever reason, and not even at their fault, Newcastle is PSR, the player will say, normally, and I'm thinking logically, I want to go to a bigger club to be able to win the Champions League or the Premier League or even the top trophies. That is just logical thinking for human beings, people. However, let me finish the last point, the caveat that Philip put in. There are some exceptions to the rules, and these are the players that stay at one club to be legends. And normally, these are people that moved so early in their career to that club, or players that are local.
Tonali left AC Milan. Botman left a title-winning Lille team. Who else did we have? Isak obviously left Real Sociedad. I'm not trying to tell you that Newcastle are the hub of football or anything like that. I'm trying to explain to you that there are various push and pull factors as to why players go to different clubs for different reasons. Newcastle could win the League Cup today, maybe do a double and win the FA Cup and finish second in the Premier League, for instance. Isak's head could still be turned. My point is why we're even talking about Isak is on the tilt that we're little bros to all of you big clubs or whatnot, Mo and the mainstream and others, and that you don't feel that we're deserving of these players anyway. Because according to you, Mo, anybody outside the top six, there's no, or Tottenham and below, they are a club of no purpose. So that's where I think your premise starts.
So can I jump in a bit? Because I think somewhere in the middle, both of you are sort of right, but you're sort of seeing from different ends. Now, I'll sort of back up most points with an example, actually 2 examples. And funny enough, they both involve Chelsea. So you remember when Wayne Rooney wanted to leave Man United and Chelsea was the destination, right? And his belief was that at Man United, even though Man United are seen as the biggest club in the UK or in England, still said he wanted to go to Chelsea because at that point, Man United were not fulfilling what he felt. He felt he needed more players. I think at that point, they chose not to buy Tevez and he got annoyed. And pretty much Alex Ferguson had to hold him back and say, you're not leaving. Another example, of course, is Gerrard, who was going to leave Liverpool. And again, you say Liverpool, 6 Champions League.
Chelsea again.
He also was going to go to Chelsea. And actually, it was the nefarious reasons why he ended up staying. So I think it's not. I think sometimes we get too emotional about little broing and big broing and so on and so forth. I think to your point, there are reasons why players might want to leave, right? And sometimes you could be at a club where you're actually successful. Liverpool are traditionally a successful club. At that time, United were a successful club. They were on the way down, but still a player like Rooney still chose to say, I might move now. It's not say Isaac might do that. He might say, hey, I'm happy in Newcastle. I'm settled in, the players, the environment, so on and so forth. Or he might say, actually, next stage of my career, I want to move on to whatever club it is. So that's why I think like both of you are sort of right. You're sort of looking from 2 different points. But actually, there are situations where players will leave a club to another club, even though in this instance, I would say Chelsea are not as big as Liverpool or Man United traditionally.
Let me get that. I need to finish the super chats actually, before we need to move on to different clubs. But Philip, to be honest with you, it's a fantastic conversation. I actually enjoyed that. Palmer
Likewise.
seriously. Palmer only goal threat in the team. Jackson doesn't know his ass onto his elbow. Sancho never shoots. Neto thinks he's playing alone in the park. Amaritania, we'll talk about that. Jay Finn saying, get this agenda fraud, pressure him, cook him. He's talking about me. JJ saying, foreign players are different than local, man. Yes.
That's another thing.
We'll
Yeah.
That's another thing as well.
I've seen as journeyman.
Jay saying, Jay saying, yes, Philip, call this agenda fraud out. I love it. Exposure is saying, Philip, you are sensitive. That is the truth. See, opinions differ. Jay saying, Philip, welcome to the agenda merchant. That's why we love the show. Agendas must agenda. You are going to love him and hate him at the same time. Thank you, Jay, for the super chat. Listen, guys, this is just an argument, by the way. We're all right.
And just in case, I have to leave, but in case you guys think I'm leaving because of the argument, Mo can tell you that before. No. I did say I'm going to.
Philip actually stayed. Philip actually, the conversation was so good that Philip stayed over about 20 minutes more than one when he said he has time.
I appreciate you, gentlemen, and the chat. And thank you, Mo.
Before you go, Philip, guys, Toon Tactics, his channel is in the description. Toon Tactics, it's in the description. Just second line of the description. Click on it. Give Philip a subscription. Support Philip. Great content. Local guy from Newcastle, supports the club for a long time. Knows the ins and outs of the club.
I'm not from Newcastle.
I thought you lived there.
No,
I thought you lived there.
No. Don't put that on me. No, I don't.
So why did you support Newcastle then?
How did you come about choosing Newcastle?
I know it's
why did I feel like
Conspire,
so there's a couple voices I can't hear.
So you were saying how did you end up supporting Newcastle? And I said it was called Conspire. Is that his name? The bald guy who played in
Conspire.
That's the reason why.
I wasn't. No, it's a simple reason, which is I wasn't born in the UK. I traveled to the UK. It's as simple as me flicking on the TV. They were the first team I saw play, and I said I don't know anything about the UK. I followed them, and by the next game, which happened, I think we were in the Champions League those days. By the next week, watched them play, cried when we lost, and I said, I can't be crying for a team and not supporting them. And so, yeah, been a fan ever since. Mike Ashley, 2 relegations, and everything else on top of that.
Appreciate you, Philip, for joining.
God bless you.
Hopefully you can do well. So
peace, man. Have a nice one, bro.
Yes,
thank you. So you can invite me back on the show. Thank you, Mo. Yes, thank you.
All right, Philip. Okay, who are we cooking? Chelsea or Arsenal?
I thought Arsenal was done. I mean,
I thought let's talk about.
We haven't even spoken about Arsenal yet.
Yeah, let's talk about.
Bro, I seriously did not expect Dayo to come here and say that was a penalty, bro. The meltdown on X is crazy. We were done. We were hard done. We were robbed. The referees are against us. PJ Mall doesn't want us to win. Bro, the meltdown, frauds. Bro, it was
let me
crazy.
see. Here's my analysis of the game today. I think that the team that Mikel Arteta put out was good enough to win that game 1-0 and move on. Hold on. Let me finish. Olu. Everybody has said, oh, it was
No,
on
but I want to ask you something. Can we not go to Arsenal? Because I know Ahmed will have to go to Arsenal. We
Okay.
really need to talk about Chelsea.
All right,
What
let's
is this talk about, man? There's nothing to talk about.
Broski, you might not make top 4. Man City, the Sharks are behind you, bro.
I think, we're doing. Listen, I think for me personally, a little bit of exaggeration there. I think for me, from a Chelsea perspective, in this game, I actually think, unironically, it was very much a carbon copy fixture of what happened to us when we faced Crystal Palace in our 3rd game of the season too. In the first half, we scored a goal. It's not like we did in this game, right? And then afterwards, we kept on missing. We created chances, but then we kept on missing them. Obviously, in that game, it was Madueke and then Jackson. They then came into a second half with a renewed pressure and aggression, which they literally came out of the stops. They played really well. They started to create chances for us. We then had we only created like 1 shot on target, I think, in the second half, if I'm not mistaken, as well. But then guess what? They were able to get their chance, took their chance against us, and we just couldn't recover. That's what it came down to. And the way I put this game down to is, I think it's a game of 2 halves. In the first halves, the attackers let us down specifically, and I would probably say more so Jackson, in terms of like some of the chances that he missed today, which were, for me personally, criminal, inexcusable. Some of the chances that he missed. And then in the second half, I really would put it down to the manager and the lack of what I would call in-game management again, in terms of like changing the stuff up and stuff like that. So that's why I would put it, because like you could really see in the second half, we were, again, the midfield was starting to get leggy again. The attack, was not starting to get clicking again. Sancho, after the 60th minute, because of how much defensive work he was doing, was essentially finished. Like, we probably should have made a change there a lot sooner. Gui should have come on much sooner. So there was like different things that kind of occurred there. So I think it's really a game of both things that occurred.
Do you think there's a world where actually the team is not as good to the manager as what Chelsea fans may have believed? Because I always heard this conversation about A team, B team, and I always thought that was ridiculous, because I always think that you just have a team.
I get what you mean.
There's no such thing as an A team, B team, and I thought that the sort of the Conference League and how easy it is for you guys just to rock up every week and score 5 or 6 past teams masked what maybe the quality of your so-called B team, or I'll say reserves, are.
Do you know what it is, bro?
It doesn't trust, like, because I'm sorry, let me just finish this. Like, the fact that you're saying that it takes so long to make a substitution, it always means 2 things. One is either there's a tactical problem, or 2, there's a trust problem.
What I would hit to you is that obviously Maresca is kind of one of the things that, if you had Leicester fans speak about him, they obviously made it like a big thing that he makes subs way too late, right? So I think there is part of that plays into it. And then for me, the second part, which I think you're making a very good point on, is that if Maresca does not rate some of these players, whether it be an Nkunku, a João Felix, whoever else was on the bench who's escaping my mind right now, right? Then it becomes a fact of, you tell the board, these guys are not good enough for me. I need more reinforcements, right? That's what it should come down to me more than anything else. Like, what I mean? We need to have honesty here, because at the end of the day, we need to remember what our targets are. We need to be making sure we reach that target. So that's what I would probably say back to you.
What is the target now? Can I
The target was the same target that it was this season, and that is still top 4. And trophy. Okay. That's it.
Do you think so? If he doesn't make top 4, what is then?
I think, again, for me, I'm gonna add a little bit of context, in the sense that it depends on the context of how it occurs. But if it's like a really bad way that it happens, then of course I think conversations are there.
There's no bad way, bro. You were 12 points ahead of Newcastle just 4 weeks ago, bro.
But I think also, listen, we need to also be honest about the fact that some teams have had slow starts. You know what I mean? We too. So like, listen, we had a really hot start.
Can I say something about Maresca that a lot of people have missed, coming from the Championship from last season, and it's something that needs to be spoken about, in the sense that this guy had a 20-point lead at one point in the Championship last season, and at the end of the season, he was 1 point. Number 2, Ipswich was 1 point away from him. He had a 20-point gap that he blew and lost. The season ends, and he was 97, Ipswich was 96. My point is, he's shown in the past complacency when he has a lead in points. as a manager. That's why he starts to make those kind of crazy changes, tweaks too late, subs really late, decides to do things.
Maybe we need this then, yeah. Maybe we needed to get pegged down for him to
yeah.
get back up, yeah.
And this is why a lot of
fair enough.
Leicester fans were saying, be careful
Yeah.
about him, because he maybe he starts thinking, oh, I can try this new technique now. I'm 10 points ahead of the person that I'm way ahead of where my goal is, and starts making all this kind of. So you guys might need to look at, because if you can blow that type of lead, that type of gap,
Of course,
he
but-
could have got automatic. Only what I'm saying is like he could have gotten automatic qualification last
Yeah,
season, literally. But to
I know, but we don't. But we don't. The thing is this: that I mean, if we're 100%, if we are 100% being truthful, none of us know the reality of how they blew that, because I did not watch.
Yeah, no, I know.
Did not watch one game of Leicester.
Exactly. I didn't watch it either, so wrong with me.
Understand what I'm saying? I didn't watch. What I'm saying is, if you blow a 20-point gap, regardless of whatever the reason is, that is a lot. That is a lot of points to blow. Is all I'm saying.
I understand, but again, I don't understand. I don't want to speak on Leicester's on last season because I don't know the context, and I think I will be forcefully trying to understand what deficiencies of the manager is, because I don't know the context. Was it a motivational issue? Was it an injury issue? Was it they just played poorly? I don't know.
That's what whatever the issue is.
Let's put that to one side. I think Leicester is his own thing. He's got a new team. They spend $1 billion on this team. It should be different. The reality for me is just this: is this Chelsea team. First of all, maybe you've done the Ange thing. You know, you started off like a house on fire.
Well, we're gonna have to see that one, yeah.
Right, maybe you didn't win 10 games in a row like Tottenham did, but you did a run, and then now it's catching up with you. People are seeing how your team plays, and they're setting up. They get used to also understanding, right? You know, now we're coming to the part of the season where you're playing the same teams that you've played before.
Of course, yes.
There might be a world where also now they've played them once, they now understand a little bit more. But how do we set up against them? To be honest, that Crystal Palace game, the minute it went into second half 1-0, I had a feeling Crystal Palace won't come back.
We had to make one thing I was saying on my watch along that I was doing earlier is that we had to make sure we killed the game in the first half, honestly. And with the fact we weren't able to do that was, again, I think that's just down to our striker again just being very poor today. And I think again this just goes back to another issue, which was in the summer. You know, we were looking for a striker. We were trying to bring in one, and we didn't bring in that other archetype that was needed for me, my personal opinion. And and that is hurting us a lot, man. It's hurting us quite badly right now as well.
Can I be mean?
Listen, honesty is the best policy. Honesty is the best policy. I agree.
Let me be mean to Chelsea for a second, because I know Arsenal are going to get on back very soon. I'm going to be mean to Arsenal as well. Heavy's the head that wears the crown, and I've said it multiple times in this stream. And it's all about one man, Cole Palmer, right? The best player in the league, as was said by Chelsea fans when he was scoring 4 goals, right? I'm sorry. I believe he's got the talent. I think he's he is going to be a great player if he continues on this trajectory. However, the way the ball got taken away from him for that goal was criminal. Last week,
yes, 100%.
Sanchez was absolutely and rightfully criticized for kicking the ball long. And I've seen some people try to say Sanchez made a mistake passing to him. I'm sorry, no. He had a time. He's got a talent to be able to turn on the half turn and get rid of that ball. And
that should have been hit first time.
Exactly. The fact he dwindled all that, right? So that's one thing. But also as well, this is where you have a superstar player, a game changer, where if Jackson is making all those misses, you sort of say, right, you carry it, right? And he just never felt like he was carrying the team. I think the first half he played well. Second half he faded. And this is where I say Heavy is the head of West Crown, because if we are going to literally crown you this great player, you're also going to get the criticism and the sort of the view as well of this great player. And that mistake he made, especially like that cost you a point. And I think Chelsea fans, it's hard sometimes looking more than say criticize him, but he should not have made that mistake whatsoever.
No, I get what you mean. I think, again, what you're saying is 100% correct. That's why I think it's fair to be critical to him in general. And I think in the second half, it's quite poor.
He faded, bro. He faded.
And I think for me, that is another thing. I just look at the manager, is like, when you can see that he's fading, you can see that he's not maybe giving 100%. I look at you, then I'm like, maybe a sub. You know what I mean? You've got a guy there that can do maybe something else for you, that can at least help us control the ball a bit more, take us a little bit further. And then, but again, it just goes back to my issue of if you don't rate what's on the bench, why are they there in the first place, bro? Respectfully, you know what I mean? This is we're in January now. You know what I mean? I know obviously it's a hard transfer window.
You can't have an
You're not
empty
gonna-
bench, though. You can't
No,
have
no,
an
no,
empty
no, 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 no. You're not getting my point, though, Dio. I'm saying obviously we are in January now, and if it's the case, you don't trust your bench. You know, we're in January now. We need to start making these decisions happen a lot faster. Does that make sense? Like, you obviously not going to be able to move on from everyone, but at least bring him a player or two from that you think is going to add value. That's going to help you on from the bench. Does that
But
make
also,
sense?
but there's also players such as KDH, an absolutely pointless buy.
That
Let's
was
be real.
PSR, bro. I swear to God, that's a
I know.
PSR signing. I know
But it's
that, bro.
pointless. There was
Exactly.
the guy you
Exactly.
got from Aston Villa, pointless. Again, that was PSR. You brought in Tosin. Again, for me, why don't you
It's
put
good.
Tosin?
No, Tosin is a very good signing for
Yeah,
them.
but-
It's a free transfer, bro.
It's free transfer. I understand it, but I'm saying that it's not.
And
a
his
game
wage is too low to
I
criticize.
can't
that
lie to you,
signing.
man. The
Not
fact that we have
game-changing.
to, I think for me, is extremely criminal. The fact that we have big up to Champion, by the way, great
There you go.
debut from him, right?
There
In the
you
club,
go.
but it is extremely criminal that this guy is not good enough to start over this over
There you
Champion
go.
and
That's my point.
Disasi. Exactly. So,
And that's my
so for me,
point.
that's criminal behavior, and
And
that is a fair point. I have to say.
That's my
100%.
point. And finally, also the other person as well is Yao Felix. Again, when you guys brought him, I was like,
It was
sorry, my
good,
Turkish friend,
bro.
We should
was
have
actually-
made.
He played even good. But there is something wrong at Chelsea, and I don't know. Okay, let me just put that. There is something wrong at Chelsea. João Felix had 2-3 games consecutively that were well, and then he was not used for 2 games. Came on last game,
The
played the
man
first
doesn't rate
half,
him.
looked
That's
very
literally
good.
it, bro.
Looked very good in the first half. Second half, he subs him out. Today, not used at all. What are you doing?
Again, you're not hearing me. You're not hearing what I'm saying to you, man. He's not
No,
rated. The manager didn't want him. The manager doesn't rate him. That's the problem, bro. It's as simple as that.
and
But
finally,
this is the okay. This is wrong on the manager. This is the hand he's dealt. This is the hand he's dealt.
I get what you mean, Mo, but the reality is, bro, this is what I'm saying to you. He does the manager, in my personal opinion, may barring the obviously I think we came on. Obviously, I think who's the other guy that I'm missing? There's someone else that came on, maybe Madueke, barring him and Madueke, he don't trust anyone else on that bench. That's what it is, bro. It's as simple as that.
And also, I'm gonna put this right as well. This is me being mean. I'm squarely putting Neto in the Martinelli bracket right now, as just on the pitch to make 11 players because. For what I had last,
You know my
season,
issue with Neto is
he's
actually
good defensively. I'm sorry, that doesn't wash. You guys bought him for what, 60 million? He's meant to be this winger. Everyone was
only 50, only 50.
saying
Chill.
50,
Too much
50
money.
million.
Too much
Everyone
money.
said, Arsenal should have bought Neto. This person should have bought Neto. And I'm sorry, he has been so
You know what it is, though, Olu? You know what it is, though, Olu? I think my issue with Neto is that, you know, the way that the places he's getting the ball at times and then how things are working out for him, in my personal opinion, yeah, at times, yeah, it's quite unfair on him. And I said this before, even when we used to have Madueke on that wing too, where I feel kind of sorry for a lot of our right wingers because they they get isolated a lot, bro. They do really get isolated quite a few times, and so it's not they're in an environment where they have to do like 2v1s at the vast majority of the time, or like the moment that they're trying to do something, there's like 3 guys on him. Or 2 guys on him. So that's why if you look at on our left hand side when we've got Cucurella and Sancho, there's a lot more, and then they've got even Palmer there. So there's more action taking place because at least the winger on that side has got more options, is able to do more stuff, and that I think is another issue that I would say more so about right wing.
I hear that. I'm just
but
saying.
no. Listen, it's fair. I know you're trying to cook. I know you're trying to cook. I get you, bro. That's fine.
He's in the Martinelli bracket right now. I'm just putting you right now.
No, that's fair.
Listen,
You know,
Chelsea.
Listen, man.
I'm not sure where Chelsea are going.
1 week and a half until Bournemouth. We're gonna be at home. Tough game, but you know what they say, man.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But I think for me, honestly, man, you know, if they can bring in a striker for me very soon, I think we need that, man. We really need that, bro.
So the conversation about Jackson, Haaland is over.
Who said that? Who was talking about that? No, if anyone was talking about that, bro. But you know what I mean? Come on, man. Put the gun down, please.
Okay, so someone's talking about Esteval, and this is another thing where Chelsea fans have done this thing where they've seen clips, maybe watched a little Brazilian league here and there. I'm sorry, if you think Esteval is going to come in from sunny Brazil, different time zone, right? All by himself at the age of 18.
Is he coming in January now?
No.
Apparently.
He comes
See,
in.
Stefano is not coming in since the summer, guys.
Someone says Esteval's here now. That's why. I'm just saying though.
No, he's not here. He's not here.
This is not. You know what it takes for players to settle into a new country, and you're talking about older men, not
Exactly,
18-year-old.
This guy needs a season or two, bro, where he's holding the bench, getting fed into the team. This is what I'm saying. We're putting too much expectation on the young lad. Chill, bro.
Exactly. People treat it like it's like Football Manager or FIFA, where you just take him to a new country and all of a sudden expect him to play. No, he's got to settle in.
I want to move to Arsenal and the title race. What happened, Olu? What happened?
Olu, cook, man.
What happened?
You need to cook your team.
What happened? Arteta caved, or what happened, bro? What happened? All
I'm going to say is, God.
Do you think you were robbed first?
No, we were not robbed. We got what we deserved.
Hold on. I got Dayo, who is a very positive Arsenal fan, but realistic. I have Olu, who is a very positive pro-Arsenal. Both of them are saying Arsenal were not robbed. So why are people fucking crying? Why is everyone crying, bro?
Because people, well, first of all, they're young, so they haven't gone through the pains that we've gone through, right? As Arsenal fans for 20 years. But also as well, I think they can't look at things objectively. I'll say this, right? Whatever you think of the penalty is, right? Whether you think it's a penalty or not, I don't really care anymore. There was still 30 minutes of that game to go. You basically brush that off. You've taken the penalty. You consider penalty. Sorry, you've considered your goal. You turn around and you go and try to win the game. The very fact that Brighton grew into the game and we could not basically lay a glove on them until the last couple of minutes was embarrassing. And I'm saying this right. That's what I said about Martinelli and Trossard. God needs to save us from those two because right now they are absolutely stinking up the joints. And at first I thought losing Saka wouldn't be a problem, right? I thought that maybe we'll be able to adapt to it. Those two do not look good at all.
Who?
Martinelli and Trossard. They look horrific right now.
By the way, Nwaneri is injured, just to let you guys know.
Exactly.
That's another one, man. Big loss. That's a big loss again, bro. Like, back-to-back losses, man. It's mad.
And if we do not, and I'm always the kind of person who say you can't just solve your problems by going to transfer window, but if we do not go into transfer window to get at least two players, and I have to watch Martinelli and Trossard, I'm telling you right now. Anyways, I've already said this. Arsenal
are going to crash out.
Arsenal are going to be champions in 25-26. I have written the season off. This season doesn't exist to me anymore. It's now the road to 79 points in Champions League for me. I'm just telling you that right now. 25-26 champs. That's what I'm thinking of right now.
Do you think there is still? Of course, I know Dyer is a positive guy. If Liverpool win tomorrow, what does that do to Arsenal's hopes of winning the title?
It just makes it way, way harder. That's all it is. I mean, Liverpool
it's already hard.
No. But let me explain what I mean by that. So here's the thing: when people make a statement, let me explain what I'm saying by that. It's Liverpool. It's Liverpool's to lose now. It's not. We are out of it. It's Liverpool's to lose. That's the way the league is right now. At this stage, it is not on Arsenal anymore. We've messed it up. We've already messed it up. There's nothing about it's only the only times I've seen this type of thing happen. It took the other team collapsing in its entirety for a team like the 97-98 Arsenal win. In January, Manchester United was 10 points ahead of us. We were in 5th position. In May, we were champions. They were not. But it took them collapsing, which I don't see Liverpool collapsing, which is why I said it's on Liverpool. If they bottle it, well, then maybe they give us a chance. But if they don't, Liverpool has won the league. As regards to today's game, I still think that Mikel Arteta went in there today, looked at the players that he had. He doesn't have Havertz. He doesn't have Bukayo Saka. Odegaard has not been playing at his best, so he put him on the bench. He played a very defensive midfield in Jorginho, Rice, and Merino, right? Played Partey right back. Played very, very defensive midfield in the bid that if he scored a goal or two, he could park the bus.
But he's wrong. But he's wrong.
Let me finish. Hold on. You can't say he's wrong when that team the team he put out was leading 1-0 up until Saliba decided to do a nonsense. Up until Saliba decided to do a nonsense, what he planned was working.
You were cooking Brighton in the first half, even after the goal, with that midfield that you're talking about.
I'm not. That's my point. My point is he set up in that way to make sure that whatever happens, he wanted to win. until we had Saliba make a mistake and give away a penalty, and then everybody collapsed. Which is why when the penalty was done and they scored their goal, what did he do? He took out Jorginho and then brought in Odegaard, somebody who is more creative. Now, let's now bring in a more creative player. Let's see if we can now get a chance and catch the game again, and then probably now defend, that lead, which is what he tried to do. So when people say it's on the manager, I'm like, no, it was on the players today and on their individual mistakes. People like Jorginho kicking the player, studying the player off the ball when the penalty was being taken is stupid, it's criminal. It is those type of little fine margins that cost us the game. Saliba, just stand your ground. You are in the box. Don't touch the player. Let him take a shot. Let Raya block the shot. Let Raya do something. Somebody else run in front. You don't have to touch the player. Again, a lot of issues today. Ethan Nwaneri, who was more of our better player in the first 15 minutes, after he scored the goal, he was locked off. Estepinian bodied him like 4 times. He was running into a brick wall. And now the kid is injured. And so I'm not surprised that he brought in Martinelli in the second half. Because now it's like, bring an experienced player to play against an experienced defender. We've seen why Ethan needs to be eased into the team and why we can't depend on a 17-year-old.
But forget Ethan got injured, Dio. My point is, Mikel Moreno was doing fantastic, playing higher on the pitch. Declan Rice was doing all right. Let me finish this. He chose in the second half to defend it, as you said, and that is the mistake that he did. You could have played on the front foot, start in the second half. He wanted to defend the one lead, as you said, and that is a mistake that I think he did. Because you tell me, yes, he set up the players to win the 1-0. But these players were cooked. Bro, Brighton didn't have a sniff. Even after you scored, he could have stayed to play on the front foot, and I was telling Sam this. He chose to give Brighton the ball. He chose to be a half-assed press team in the second half.
So let me say this again, Mo. You of all people who have played football to this very professional level, I know that I played to university level, with my friends.
That's
or whatever.
good level. Yeah, you're a coach.
What I want to say is this, right? You know what momentum does when you score a goal and you catch up. If your team is 1-0 down, the other team scores, you know what momentum does. Usually that momentum will last about 5 to 10 minutes in that span of the game. So, of course, I expected Brighton to get that wind of after the penalty. So, and they did. They carried it on, but they still could not do anything with it. My issue was we could have gotten back into that game. We everything that happened today, right, up until the penalty, which I blame Saliba for today's 2 points dropped. That's who I blame.
You blame Saliba, I blame Arteta. That's the difference between me and you.
Oh yeah,
I blame Arteta.
Look, to each
I blame Arteta. I didn't like. If I'm an Arsenal fan, I didn't like the way he set up defensively in the second half.
Listen, you can say you don't like the way he set up defensively, or you don't like the way. The point is the way he set up. He was 1-0 up, and without those individual errors, the fine margins, Brighton.
No, I think you gave Brighton a chance to score as well.
Let me ask you a question.
Disagree.
Up until that penalty, did it look like Brighton was going to score against Arsenal? You can't come and tell me they look like it.
Muted.
They did not. Even in the second half, they did not look like they were going to score.
Ahmed, you're muted. Ahmed, you're muted.
Before you go, guys, yeah, I kind of understand what Arteta was trying to do, because let's be realistic, guys, yeah.
You don't have your other players.
No. I'm gonna make the argument. Their defense should basically be able to shut up shop. Like they're one of the few defenses I would say in the EPL. Unironically,
But they haven't this season. They haven't.
I know,
this
but I know this season they haven't. But they still have the pedigree that they can still.
Didn't he do the same against Brentford? Why didn't he do the same against Crystal Palace? When he went for when he's 1-0 up or 1 goal difference, he goes for the second, smother the opposition.
Until the attackers, though. I'll ask you the question.
Forget the attackers. Don't worry about the attackers.
Mo, you're being disingenuous. We all know.
You're not even letting me finish.
Mo, you're being disingenuous here, and I'm going to say this to you. You are saying that we should depend on our defensive players, who we know that in game spells are only good up front. People like Merino, who we know is a more defensive player, Thomas Partey, Jorginho, who we know that when they go up front, they are not as effective as the Bukayo Saka and the Kai Havertz, who we did not have on the team today. They got the goal from Ethan Nwaneri and decided to shut up shop. Everybody just needed to focus and be focused for this.
Breaking news, by the way. Just a little bit of some breaking news, guys. Queenie's about to sign a new deal with Wolves. So
I think
it's done.
That's done. That's fine. No, So no, the reason, listen, the thing
I
is
don't.
that-
I didn't think. I don't think Arsenal have the finances to go, and I don't think Arsenal would have spent what Cunha, what Wolves have wanted for Cunha. Just to
Yeah.
let you know.
But let me just say something. The thing that okay, I'll tell you the thing that annoys me about this iteration of the Arsenal team, right? And it's that basically that midfield just did not keep the ball well. And the very fact that we had Jorginho, we had Rice, and we have Marino, right? I'd have thought what it
That
could
would have been the
even
best holding.
even if you're not going to be super defensive, right? And even if you're not going to be super attacking, just pass them to death. Like
Thank you.
Make him chase shadows. It just felt like we had no control in the second half of the ball.
Thank you
And
so
you
much.
had Jorginho. That's what makes it funny, bro. You had the guy that's supposed to control.
Again, teams will have their opportunity to break into your own 18, right? My question is what you do when they're in there. Today, are you telling me that we could have passed them to death for the next 30 minutes or next 45 minutes and just stay and they would never get the ball? Of course, they would get the ball.
They played the ball.
Hold on. They played the long ball in. Hold on, I'm coming. They played the long ball in, and first Gabriel, at this point, play it back. No, you play nonsense. Cunha flicks the ball up, heads the ball, and you headbutt the player in the box. That's an individual error on the player. At this point, what do you expect?
You're missing the point I'm making. The thing is this, it's momentum. It's all about momentum. And when you pass the ball, when you frustrate teams, when you have people chasing shadows, right, that frustrates them. That the crowd, you get the crowd away from I know he's telling someone off right now. You get the crowd away from like being invested in the game, right? And that's what Arsenal were good at, like last year, being able just to kill the crowd. And I feel like it just felt like, especially okay. The reason I knew we were going to concede was when that free kick came from Declan Rice that like put across the ground and Marino missed. I just felt like the minute we missed that chance. I don't know if it's people say football gods. It just felt like something was going to happen where
it's like the Chelsea game, yeah, where when we were seeing a chance, I was like, these guys are coming back.
You just like,
so now it's Mikel Arteta's fault that Saliba went to headbutt somebody, right? That's Mikel.
No, it's Mikel Arteta's fault. No, it is Mikel. I'm gonna tell you what Mikel Arteta's fault is. Hold on.
These players, you need to hold these players accountable. You need to hold these players accountable.
Let me talk.
Every single one of them.
I'm gonna tell you why it's Mikel Arteta's fault. This would not have happened if Arsenal were on the front foot, as Olo said. It doesn't happen that, bro.
You cannot be on the front foot for 90 minutes straight. There's going to be opportunities for the other team to attack you.
Opportunities are different than sitting deep and allowing the opposition to talk.
The opposition had the ball and they came at you. You needed to not make individual mistakes at this point. Get the ball back and then you can be on the front foot. You say front foot like you can play 90 minutes and press people into their half and nothing will happen to you.
Arteta used to do this. You get the second goal or not, you don't have to.
In the first half, Brighton did not have a sniff of anything.
Enough football players, they can do it. Pep Guardiola used to do it all the time.
Up until the penalty, Brighton did not have a sniff of anything. And even when they had the ball and they came, we defended cleanly. Calafiori, that I was panicking about his defensive work, did a better job this time around. Even one time when the ball passed Calafiori and he had to run back and clear it, he did the right thing. He went on the outside and cut back on the inside. He did not make individual mistakes. The issue is when they attack you and you're defending, you have to be very careful not to make those kind of mistakes in the box. That cannot be on the manager. As a player, you know this. The manager set you up. You played on the front foot first half. You scored a goal. You defended very well. Second half, up onto that penalty. And again, the minute the penalty was scored, the other team will always have momentum because they feel like you're down and morals were down. And guess what these players did? They put their heads down.
Or Dio. I think the point that Oli was making, and even myself was making, certain times in football, we're not talking about this, what happened with Saliba. There's certain times when you miss a certain chance and then you just get the feeling, where it's like, yeah, man, this game is going to end in like a draw. Like, that's what we're talking about. Obviously, Saliba, then it didn't turn out that it was going to be via Saliba that they got the equalizer. But, like, we just talk about how the momentum of the game was going. Like, you're missing some chances, and then obviously that usually allows the other team, particularly when you got a 1-0 lead, to open the back doors to get them to get an equalizer.
Yeah. That's what we're saying. But that's what I'm saying. Olu, if you're 1-0 up, right, you know that it's a dicey thing. It's 50-50. This team can score unless you go on to score a second goal. Okay, cool. So that means you know that if you're 1-0 up and in a spell of the game, the team has the ball and they're attacking you, you need to defend sensibly at this point and not make a mistake. This is not on the manager. Teams will have their spell against you. This narrative that people want to build and say, oh, it's all on the manager by himself. The selection was wrong. The selection he had was 1-0 up until one player decided to headbutt another person.
I understand. I do understand what you're saying. Listen, I'm not taking away the personal mistake that Saliba made, right? I think what you think we might be saying is we're taking away the personal responsibility for the player and just putting on the manager. It's not just that. But the thing is still this, is the manager is the one who has to sit and watch the game as it's unfolding. And he's the one that has to make tactical decisions based on the momentum of the game. And what I'm saying is that once we were not scoring, what I'd like to see for 10 minutes is just pass the ball around, frustrate the hell out of them. Don't even have to attack. Just frustrate, make him chase. Because also, if they're down to their bare bones in terms of players, right? If they're running, because you get more tired chasing the ball than if you're with the ball, right? So that's something that is well known, right? The team that has the most possessions tends to have better fitness because they're not the ones running around. If you get them running around, you then get better. You essentially get back into controlling the game. What I felt was that towards a certain point, you could feel that Arsenal were losing control, and the tactical decisions were not being made. But also, I'll say this. The players we had on the pitch, I don't think, especially on the wings, and I'm going in on Martinelli and Trossard because I think they've been absolutely awful this season, right? Both of them have been collectively. I don't think also right now they have the brain or talent level to be able to keep the ball, because every time Martinelli got the ball, he's just head down, running into blind spaces, and that is I'm losing it right now with Martinelli. If I worked in the Arsenal recruiting department, I would release him on free right now because he's getting on my nerves. That's how bad he is. So, anyways.
And again, let me say this again. So I'm looking at the field tilt, and Arsenal had a better field tilt in the first half, right? Right? Okay, so we had control. Second half, we had the first from 45 to about 50, 45 to about 55. We had control. They then had the ball, and at 60 minutes, they got the penalty, which was caused by what? That individual mistake. So hold on.
Let's break it down. Let's break it down as we're going along. So you said from 50 to 60. The 10 minutes. Who had the ball?
We had the ball.
We had the ball. Okay.
We had more of the ball. Then they got the ball just before 60. And that's when they made that attack. And guess what we did? We defended poorly in that moment. Okay. So these fine margins are what upset me, because I'm like, look, you know that you're one goal up. Anything can happen. This is where you have to be sensible in exactly how you literally defend in the box. Number one, that ball got flicked up. We saw João Pedro head the ball, and that was not a clash of heads. That was a headbutt. Saliba, you're better than this. This goal is not on Mikel Arteta. That's number one. Number two thing that I will not accept is this. People like to act as though the minute you get scored against, you need to pick your head up, and we know that there's always momentum for the team that scores. You're more susceptible to getting a goal scored against you after you've conceded one. In football, we all know this, that if you concede a goal...
that doesn't happen to Liverpool, but fine.
It doesn't happen to Liverpool this season. Last season, go look at what happened to them. I can
but it's this season. If
you are challenging Liverpool this season, Liverpool are about to win the league this season, not last season.
No, this is not about challenging. I'm talking about today's game and whose fault it is.
Dio,
I'm not going to conflate the season.
Can I correct something that Dio said, please, Dio? Can I correct something just for the people? In the first half, Arsenal had the majority of the position only by about 4%. So I think Arsenal had 54. Okay, hold on. Let me finish. To them 46. Within the start of the second half, until the penalty scored, you know how much more than 10% switch right away. Brighton had the 54 and Arsenal. That is what this 9%. Okay, let me just finish.
What did I say?
No, because no. You said even before the penalty, you have possession. No, Brighton had possession.
Before the penalty, when we started at 45 minutes up until 55, I said for 10 minutes we had the ball. Then they got the ball.
No, that is wrong. They got the ball. They had the ball. Dio, I just checked who scored. From halftime until the penalty, Dio, they had 54%. You had 46%. That is a switch. But anyway, I'm not going into the stat. My point about it is that, Dio, just hold on. I don't want to go into the stats with you, Dio. Okay? My point about this is not, I don't want to go into the stats. Arsenal defended deeper in the second half. That is a fact, even before the penalty. Arsenal did not control the ball as much as they did in the first half, even before the penalty. That is by design by the manager. I genuinely believe, and I was telling Hussam
Oh
this.
my
Let me finish the next one. I believe that Arsenal defenders are more capable to defend in spaces than defend in a low block. The reason why your players are so superior in defending in spaces, that Saliba and a Gabriel and even a Thomas Partey. When we saw Thomas Partey in the first half defending in spaces, he is better than defending in the 18 in a low block, because these players are not trained to play in a low block. They're not a Tarkovsky. These players
I
are
get what
more
you
of
mean.
a front foot defenders,
They're
a
not box
one-on-one
defenders.
defender. They're not a box defender.
That's what I like
They
to call them.
aren't the
They're not
players.
box defenders, yeah.
They aren't players made to block and go in the challenging with a lot
Exactly,
of traffic happens.
I know.
Some players are like this, and some players are more of a front foot defender.
Mm-hmm.
Saliba, Gabriel, Thomas Partey are these guys. And I think Arteta, in my opinion, when he defends deep, I don't think he's playing to their strength. Your strength is Moreno pressing, Rice pressing, Jorginho behind him. Maybe switch Jorginho. Maybe put Lewis Kelly. Have Saliba battle it one-on-one with João Pedro. Have Gabriel do that. Don't have traffic in the 18. That is my opinion about it, Dayo. You disagree?
Hold on. No, listen to what you said. Don't have traffic in the 18 like it's on Arsenal. This was Brighton attacking, and they threw the ball into your 18. Of course, you will go and try and defend it. What are we saying here? Are you saying that Arsenal was the one, were the ones that were playing out from the back, and then we drew the press? We didn't draw the press.
No, Arsenal invited Brighton.
How? They had the ball.
Yeah, but he's saying that
you only invite. Olu, hold on. Olu, I need to address this. You only invite a team if you are playing out from the back, and you're playing out from the back, and then you're inviting them to come and
No, you don't. No, Let us correct you.
Before the penalty. What was the passage of play before the penalty? What was the passage of play before that penalty? Tell me what it was. Tell me exactly what it was. Who had?
I don't remember exactly.
Exactly my point, and I'm telling you, Brighton had the ball attacking.
Yeah,
but the passage of play. It was not.
That's what we're talking about.
That is normal in football. Every team will get their spell to attack.
Please, wait.
What are we saying here?
I'm saying, listen, for them to get a penalty, they have to be attacking. You can only get a penalty in our own box. I understand that. What we're saying, one more saying is, if you drop your line backwards, right? You see, sometimes you see coaches on the pitch screaming to their team, get higher up the pitch, because essentially you're giving them more space to run into.
Exactly.
Right? The reason why you have your team, even listen, we diss Ange, but the reason why he has his team on the halfway line is because there's less space for them to defend. Sorry, there's less space for the other team to play in if he's on the halfway line, because you can only play in their own half versus behind them. If he drops his line back, then you've got more space. Arsenal were dropping back ever so slightly, right? And whether it's the players chose to do it or by design, it wasn't working. And the very fact
we will never know, by the way.
Exactly. But the very fact you even brought the field tilt, and that's why I asked you specifically, when did they start happening? That even that 5-minute period between when I know, listen, it's a good stat if you actually understand what's going on within it.
I understand it. Every time I hear it,
5 minutes between when it started and the penalty, that shows that we lost control of the game. And that's where I'm like, actually, that's where you start just passing the ball. You pass.
I know Ahmed has to go. Can I do a super chat and I let Dayo respond?
Can I
go? The passage of play before that goal was scored started from the center half. A Brighton player played the long ball to Saliba, who took a shot that was deflected out. Gabriel could have headed that ball out. He did not. Go back and watch it. So it's not like we were defending deep. Why do we conflate these things and try to make a narrative out of it? We were not defending deep. A long ball that took out the midfield was played. And
where were the players? Where were the defenders?
Defenders were in our half. Our midfielders, a ball took out all our midfielders. All the
where were on the edge of the box,
guys?
On the edge of the box.
It's 150.
So I'm saying at that point,
that's the point.
I'm saying clear the. But hold on, if you play a long ball that has already come in, are you not going to run back to defend it? What do you mean? That's the point. Brighton is playing a long ball. What do you expect the defenders to be? They should be running forward when the ball is going to their own goal. Of course, they'll back up to try and defend that long ball that is coming.
Right, but if you're all the way back there already, you're inviting the pressure. That's the point I'm trying to make.
So Olu, what you're saying to me is, if Tottenham play the high line to the center of the field, right, with their defenders, and we get Thomas Partey play the long ball behind them, and we have players running behind, where do you think the defenders of Tottenham will be? They will fall back to defend. This is what happened to us today. Saliba takes a shot.
Can I? I want to
do.
do the super chat before we
Please.
end this. Omar
But also,
saying,
before you go, so
Dio, big up. I want to do this because this is very important. Dio, big up. Did you major in statistics? You never walk alone. Thank you, Omar. Super chat. Appreciate you so much.
I did not major in statistics. I majored in film production.
Jay, it is the last question, guys. What I disagree with is Arsenal are at a point where I think they should be going in games with a team of Brighton caliber thinking, let's defend. They shouldn't be. That is the point. Even at 1-0, you shouldn't be.
Okay, again, context. We went into this game without we're not going to have for the rest of the season. Bukayo Saka, no Kai Havertz. Odegaard was sick. Hold on. These are all our creative players.
I'm finished.
We went into this game with defensive midfielders in our midfield. And the only creative player that we had on the right, Martinelli was on the bench again, even though he's been dog shit this season, was Ethan Nwaneri. Second half, he got injured. So here's the thing now. As a team, do you then continue to go ham against the other team, knowing that all your creative players, your best creative players, you said it yourself, Trossard is crap today, Gabriel Jesus was just running amok, and Martinelli is crap. Do you then go ham? You open up. If you do that, you open up and they'll destroy you. So you protect what it is that you have already. Get out of this game, get 3 points, and move on to the next one. By then, hopefully your players are back and they're
then you didn't.
So this is where I'm going to say then we have to put the criticism on the manager, because I'm going to say this: 2 years ago, that team that bottled the league, rightfully everyone can say we bottled the league. I'm sorry, we would play our football regardless, right? We'll go toe to toe with any team, whether it was the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do.
But with the right players on the pitch.
Let me finish my point. Okay. Okay. The thing I'm saying is this, right? This season, what we've seen from this team is that essentially they can play their football, but right now, if we take one or two pieces out, all of a sudden it breaks down, and now we have to become this uber defensive team. That for me is a worry, because it means that it's become less about. Because I always said that Arteta was good at coaching the system, and the system should mean that you could take a player out, and yes, there's individual qualities that make players better than other players, but the system should be so good that you can interchange players. The very fact that now we're saying that we can take out 2 players, right, and you can say 3 with Havertz as well, and the whole thing class. Right, and you can say the first half we played okay, but if you like, I didn't look at it as 2 years ago since Leighton we can blow this team. Even last year, blow this team out of the water. I just felt like we were in control of the game. That for me is the problem. This is where I'm like, are you pups? Because when everyone was saying earlier on that he's coaching the team to be defensive, I pushed back on it. Now I'm like, Jesus Christ, maybe he's coaching the team to be defensive. And the final point I'll say is this: is that game, if Liverpool play that game today, even when they went back to 1-1, they would have straight away started attacking. We got attacked on. And that for me just that annoyed me the most. The very fact that for a team which is challenging for the title, we were made to look so basic towards the last 30 minutes.
I'm going to address something that you said about 2 seasons ago, where you said we played our style and that was it. And yes, we did. We played our style. And when we lost key players 2 seasons ago and played our style, what happened to us? We lost games on the bounce. And that's why we bottled the league, because we stuck. We stuck with the exact method that was winning us games. And now that those pieces were out, we started losing because we stuck with that method. This is why you have to be adaptable. This is what I'm saying.
But we were still in those games. Were we still in those games though? Were we still in those games? Because when you think about the games
we lost those games though. We lost to West Ham. We went back to back losses.
We drew West Ham. We drew with Southampton.
I know, but my point.
But wait, the point on that is though that we still feel like we're playing our game. We don't feel like we're playing the game anymore.
Listen. I hear you when you say it feels like you're playing your game, but if it doesn't give you 3 points on the board, it doesn't mean anything to me. What means something to me is if you're adaptable enough to get me 3 points on the board, and which is why I said today's game, the 2 points that we dropped is on Saliba's stupid mistake of headbutting the player. Simple. I'm not calling it head clash. That is all I call it, because what we did today was we adapted to the system that we had.
So you think Arteta coached the win today then?
I think Arteta set us up for a 1-0 win and we could have gotten out.
Okay, so you think Arteta coached the win today? That is what. Your take on it.
And I'll say up until the penalty, which was a stupid headbutt from William Saliba, up until that penalty, Brighton did not look like they were going to score. Brighton
But
did not look like they're going to penetrate us. It was never going to happen. This game
was
looked like
still
it was.
13
This game
minutes.
looked like. Listen, I get, but Olu, you watch games and you feel like, okay, because if Brighton was going to score anymore after the penalty, they should have scored again. They still didn't look like they could score. No,
They had a better chance. They had a better chances.
Having better chances and taking them are two different things. We saw
Yeah,
how
but-
they played all three. So my
But we
point
didn't have a chance. We hardly had chances.
that's why I said up until that penalty was given, which is a stupid thing by William Saliba. It was his fault that penalty happened. That's what I'm saying. Whether they had chances or not, we have been the team this season that has limited the most chances against us. Go look at the stats. Like, I'm not saying that we're not pleasing to the eye. I don't care about that. Up until that stupid nonsense that Saliba did, honestly speaking, Brighton did not look like they were going to score.
I hear that, but it's the point I'm making. It's still
And even after they scored their penalty, they still did not. They had better chances. People, what is a better chance? Because you now had more control of the game. When we had control of the game, do we have better chances? First half.
But the point is still this. The point is I understand.
Yes. You had better chances. Yes.
The thing I understand is this.
You one from Gabriel Jesus you missed. It was a very good one.
It was offside.
Yeah.
And the other one when I think there was you dispossessed them and you missed that chance. It was an easy one that should have scored that one.
And the free kick across the floor that Marino.
There were chances. You were I like that. I liked the game in the first half, Dayo. I liked it very well.
The point is still.
I liked how Moreno were controlling that midfield. I liked that.
So did you think that first half is an indication of how Mikel Arteta coached his team to play today?
Yes, until the second half. And let me answer.
Hold on. Let me finish. I have another question. The second half, up until the penalty at 60-minute mark, up until that penalty. Please go back and look at that spell of games because I'm watching.
I saw Arsenal were set up differently than the first half. Half-ass press, you weren't pressing the same, Dayo. I think in the second half, in the beginning of the first half, in the second half, the press was not as ruthless. The players were not so keen on controlling the ball as much, and I think it's down to Martinelli being there and being a headless chicken running on the pitch as well. I think it was down maybe to players being a little bit deeper. It was down to a little bit players being cautious, like a Thomas Partey or a Calafiori going forward. That's what I think. Is it instructions? Maybe. Is it by players' design? I don't know. But I'm here analyzing the team's performance, and I always assume it's manager's instructions. That's it.
And also, I still come back to the point is
manager.
You're right. Yes. Okay. You're right.
I wanna
up to an hour. Yes, he coached at 1-0. Then he came back to 1-0, and we fell apart in terms of we didn't like we were in control of the game anymore. That is my problem. My problem is not the first 60 minutes. My problem is the last 30 minutes. If you want to win the league, if you say this team is, if all the players at the start of the season said they want to win the league, Saka said it. The managers constantly talked about the title now. Before, they never really talked about title. They just said what will be, will be. Now they're saying they want to win the title. That 30 minutes should not happen. If you feel that you want to win you want to be a champion, look at Real Madrid. Real Madrid went down to 10 men. They won 2-1 at the Mestalla against Valencia. That is, and they won in the last 10 minutes. They got Vinny Jr. sent off, and they still scored in the 86th minute and then the 97th minute. That is what separates teams who are able to win a title versus those who are pretending. And right now, the way we played for the last 30 minutes made us look like pretenders more than anything else.
Oh no, like I said, after the goal was scored, we were poor. But still, I maintain the fact. Hold on, but Olu, I maintain the fact that still, as poor as we were, Brighton, regardless of the chances they had, didn't look like they were going to score against us, which is why I'm upset at that mistake of the penalty, because Brighton was going to play that way throughout the entire game, and we could have run away with a 1-0 win, knowing fully well that we don't have some of our best attacking players on the pitch and our best creator sick coming back, which was Odegaard, and he hasn't even been playing very well lately. So there's a lot of factors that I put into context. I'm like, these are those individual mistakes by players that I feel like you cannot make. These are the fine margins that you don't make because it will cost you. You don't have the manpower on the field to be able to do what you're asking that Real Madrid did. We don't have the capacity on the pitch to be able. It's not Trossard or Martinelli that is going to drag us through this 30 more minutes after we go and get a 1-1 draw. We should not be depending on that. We know the kind of team that we are. It is a win and be professional about it. Lock up. We're not here to entertain anybody. Play your 90 minutes focus and just move on with the 3 points.
I hear that.
We'll see what happens. Listen, people, I want to thank everyone that joined us. Appreciate you guys. This will take you to Hussam, where he's going to have TKA and TJ, and they're going to battle it about Arsenal again. Fantastic conversation with Philip earlier. Great conversation with Dio. This is why we do content. We agree, we disagree. It's great conversation. I hope you guys got entertained. We are 15 likes away from 200. Guys, hit that like button underneath the live chat. I'm sure there's 50 of you that haven't liked the video.
For all the haters out there, I bought Arsenal jersey for my new baby. So whatever you want to say, all you haters that were sending me messages, I've seen your messages. He's going to wear an Arsenal jersey, and I'll bring her on the stream one day.
Years of pain. You're so.
I have to pass it on. I have to pass it on to the next generation.
Listen, you could be a Tottenham fan, and then that's just centuries of pain.
Yeah,
millennia of pain.
We'll see how it goes, people. But I want to thank everyone. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow in the morning. Turn on the notification bell. We're out of here, people.
Appreciate you, Mo.
Make sure that yes.